was this weird thing when I told people I'm an atheist, where like especially with Hindus, where they'll tell me things like, "Oh, you can't leave Hinduism. Hinduism is not a religion; it's a way of life. It's a philosophy." But even if that's true, I can still choose to leave it, right? Like it's not like, oh, it's like once you're born in it, you can never leave. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that. Like Hinduism is a way of life. It's not a religion; it's a way of life. Well, excuse me, other religions are not a way of life. Like, how does that negate one? Like, Hinduism is not a religion; it's a way of life. So is every other religion is also a way of life. What the hell? And then, oh, it's a way of life. You can't leave it. Like, I can leave ways of lives. I just don't live that way of life. Therefore, I have left that way of life.
Yeah, with Hinduism, one thing I find like what's very different to like Abrahamic religions, it's that you can like if you bring two Christians in the same room, like they could have very different beliefs, but at their core, they all believe that like the Bible is the word of God and that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and stuff like that. But you can bring two Hindus in the same room and they agree on nothing. Like that's what makes it really hard sometimes to debunk Hinduism just because there's so many different branches.
That's a feature. That's not a bug. That's like in the, it's Hinduism is the best thing ever and it's nothing at all at the same time. Just because when you want to defend it, they're like, oh, this is Hinduism and it's great. And then when you want to attack, you're like, that's not even Hinduism. That's not even Hinduism. It's like in the Matrix, when you shoot bullets at it, they keep dodging it. They're like, oh, this isn't Hinduism. It's like, well, that's not necessarily Hinduism. Hinduism is so many things to so many people at the same time. But it's only like that when you attack it. All of a sudden, when you want to defend it, it becomes very specifically these things that they like. Here's the thing. If you like it, then it's part of Hinduism. If you don't like it, then who even knows what Hinduism is? Like, it's like, oh, there's so many different things. There's so many different people, right?
Yeah, I know. There's this thing, I don't know how it is in other countries, but where I'm from at least, like there's like an intersection between race and religion where I'm from. I feel like, because here in Canada now, like, I feel like two people that live here, brown people are all the same. Like, you could bring a Muslim and a Hindu, two people like, yeah, it's just Muslims and it's brown people. But where I'm from, it's like, if you're a Hindu and if you're a Muslim, there's like a difference in terms of like you're looked at differently just based on that fact. And now, even though I'm an atheist, there's like it's weird because based on my skin color in my family, people would lump me in with Hindus, and similarly, you could have like a Christian like guy who's from like a Muslim family or like a whatever religion, and they would still technically be considered Muslim as it intersects with race, which is very weird. I don't know if like other countries have it too, but I'm guessing they must.
Wait, so what's the question?
No, it's just like a statement as it relates to Hindu nationalism. Like it's like this weird thing where people bring race and religion together. So like instead of saying like in Canada we would say like those people are brown. Like let's say I'm just making a general statement.
Right.
In my country we would say oh this person is a Hindu while the other person is a Muslim. And
right.
like, there's like a weird connection between race and religion.
I think. Okay, but by the way, your caste people are thinking you're a Brahmin, right? You were a Brahmin.
No, I was the lowest one. I don't know. I don't know the terms, but whatever is the lowest.
The outcast or the lowest caste?
The
lowest caste.
Is it Dalit? Let me look it up.
Dalit is an outcast. Dalit is not the lowest caste. It's the outcast. It's even not. It's not even in the caste system.
That's what I was. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. I think we have the global ethnicity-free religions, the two major world religions that are Christianity and Islam, and then there are the two that I consider to be, I'll call them ethno-religions, which is Judaism and Hinduism, right? So the it's interesting because based on my experience, a lot of people that grew up in were more familiar with ethno religions, that grew up under ethno religions, they seem to have more of a problem at separating ethnicity from religion of other people that are grew up in non-ethnic religions, right? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, except maybe some white people who think Christianity is a white thing for some reason, they also get confused. But because a lot of, for example, Hindus consider Hinduism, their religion, to be in their blood, so they can't separate their religion, because their religion is for a specific ethnicity. Their mind cannot comprehend that being different for other people, so they see their religion as part of their DNA, and that's why they assume other people's religion is also part of their DNA and part of their blood and it's part of their essence, and that's why it's not something you could necessarily change. And this is why a lot of Hindus tell me, like, Armin, you keep saying you're ex-Muslim, but we know you're Muslim by blood. Like, we know, like, you're still, it's in your blood to be a Muslim, right? So this is my experience with them. So that's why I say, oh, we're Hindu, you're Muslim, we're brown. Yeah. So they use it interchangeably, religion or ethnicity. But go on, yeah, you want to say it?
Yeah, and that's why, like, even if I were to tell some people where I'm from that no, I'm an atheist, to them it's like, no, like, I see you, I know your family, you're a Hindu. They wouldn't be able to connect unless you can, even if you convert to Christianity and stuff, like, they wouldn't. It's like in their mind you're still like a Hindu just based on that.
Right.
And yeah, sorry.
This is the same experience I had in Israel, right? There were this argument between different atheists in Israel, because some of them identify as atheist Jews, and some of them were like, why can't we be ex-Jews, right? And people are like, what do you mean ex-Jew? You can't be an ex-Jew, you're a Jew. You could be an atheist Jew, but you're always a Jew, right? And then the atheists were like, why can't these people be, like, look at Armin, like, he was pointing at me. He's an ex-Muslim. Why can't they be ex-Muslim? Why can't we have ex-Christians? Why I identify as an ex-Jewish atheist, right? I don't want to be a Jew. I don't want to be like, and they were fighting with each other over, like, are we atheist Jews or are we ex-Jewish atheists, right? And I feel like there's the same conversation happening in India. People say, like, I'm an ex-Hindu atheist or I'm a Hindu atheist. It seems to be two different crowds, right? And this only happens with Judaism and Hinduism because they're ethno religions. So the definition of what it means to be a Hindu and what it means to be a Jew is the same conversation that's happening in India as happening in Israel, right? Because the three traditionally definitions of what it means to be a Jew or Hindu were culture, ethnicity, or religion. And these are three separate things. And it seems like both countries at the same time are adding a fourth definition. They seem like they're copying each other. The fourth definition that is coming in both countries is nationalism, right? It's the nationality, right? So this is a modern definition of these words to make it seem like, oh, being a Jew means to be Israeli, and being Israeli means to be a Jew, or being a Hindu, being an Indian means to be Hindu, right? So they're trying to add both of these countries, because ethno religions are very powerful tools for ethno nationalism. So both of these countries are now, the right-wing parties in both of these countries are now trying to add this fourth definition to it, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and it's very strange, but the more I think about it, like, especially like when we were growing up, so when they would think of, like, people who are Catholics, where I'm from, like Catholic, I don't know, but it's that word. They would usually use that as a dog whistle for Black people, which was very strange. And I don't know, I'm guessing, like, Western countries don't really do that. But then I've seen, like, a lot of like Richard Spencer, for example. He's an atheist, but he believes in we need Christianity to preserve, like, the white skin. So maybe it's like a global thing. I'm not sure.
It's very interesting because if you look at the far right, there's two different. When it comes to the far right using religion, there's a lot of people on the far right that don't even want to use religion, but the ones that do want to use religion, a lot of them are atheists, but they think the religion is too powerful of a tool for them to abandon, right? I mean, if you look at the Western far right, they're looking at other far right movements like Islam and Hinduism, and they feel like they're failing compared to them, right? They're looking at Muslims and see that their far right movements are a lot more. They're winning. They're growing. They're winning. They're a lot more powerful. They're looking at Hinduism. The rise of the far right is happening mostly in India, and with Islam. The Western far right movements are like pathetically small and weak compared to them, right? And they're looking at them and they see that they have what they're doing effectively is demographic engineering, controlling women, higher birth rates, and a very effective use of religion. Even when it comes to anti-Islamic far-right movements in Iran, ethno-nationalist movement in Iran that are anti-Islamic, they are using Zoroastrianism and ancient symbols to grow and find solidarity, right? And if you look at white far right movements, they don't have that. They don't have that because Christianity, everybody it's very interesting because Christianity came from the people that they hate the most, right? It came from Jewish people, and this has caused a division between them because some of them want to use it because they know religion is such a powerful tool. A lot of them want to use it, like, look, this is the white man's religion, we could use it. And the other half is like, no, this is like a conspiracy, this is like it's a Jewish thing, it came from Judaism, and that's what we hate the most. Like, this is a conspiracy. Like, how are we falling for this? Of course we shouldn't be even touching this, right? And that's why some of them are trying to use Norse mythology symbolism, because that was definitely a white man's religion, right? They were going back to the Viking symbology. This is why the pagans who are actually originally part of these pagan movement, religions, they hate that, which is very interesting because if you look at the pagans in Europe who actually believe in Norse mythology and that's like part of their heritage, they hate the fact that some far right groups are now using their symbolism as a way to grow their movement, which is exactly what's happening in Iran, because the people who are born Zoroastrians and Zoroastrianism is part of their religion and culture, they're now noticing that a lot of ethno-nationalists are now jumping on Zoroastrian symbolism to grow their movement and use it as a political tool. And they don't want anything to do with that. I mean, they already are getting a lot of prosecution from the government for just being non-Muslim. And now if their if their religion and symbols are used as a political tool against Islam, they're going to feel like a lot more backlash than they were even getting before. So they were like trying to distance themselves from it as much as possible. But it's very interesting how similar things happen in different parts of the planet, independent from each other and in a very similar way. And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy. Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free, it's not even promotion, it's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.